But that doesn't change the fact that I think one of the main narratives of people talking about tennis on social media is arguing people's stated skill levels. And sometimes it just feels like that's what they're here to do, instead of actually enjoy tennis and celebrate tennis. So many people just seem like they're here to argue. And I'm starting to make peace with that. I'm not here to change that. I'm just here. I'm just doing my thing. And it's really cool to be able to do that. What's up, everybody? It's Saria. I'm here to give you a video with everybody's favorite type of tennis content, sitting here and talking. I feel like it's about time for something like this, given the state of the channel for the last couple of years. It just seems like I should check in and let you know what's been going on, which, in honesty, not that much has really changed in my life. My hair's getting almost as long as the amount of time you have to wait between my videos. But aside from that, my life hasn't been all too exciting. I have now hit my 30s. That's its own bag of hot air. I don't want to bore you too much with all of the reasons behind why I don't release that many videos these days, even though this video has been made for the reasonably small amount of people, but still surprisingly large amount of people who genuinely care about this channel. And again, as always, thank you so much for all of your support. This is definitely going to be very rambly, so if you're feeling up for that, by all means, go ahead. I'm not gonna say anything revolutionary or incredibly interesting, I don't think. I'm just saying things because I feel like it right now. And up front, and this is gonna kind of be a theme of the video in some way, you do not have to agree with anything that comes out of my mouth. That's okay. If you notice cuts where I look a little different or the room looks a little different, it's because I did record a couple of clips on a different day when I had a couple of extra thoughts hit. I saw a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up, or I just thought some things needed more context. Long story short, as I have mentioned in a previous video, this has been a lull year for tennis in general for me. I have not been playing as much as I used to, although I have been taking lessons, which has at least kept me going. I need to practice more in between lessons, that's for sure. I need to get my proton ball machine worked on because that's been having problems. And one quick kind of umbrella statement to explain some things is that my health has actually been kind of bad this year. There have been weird things going on. I'm trying to get them checked out. Not to concern anybody, I think I'm mostly okay physically, less so up here. But due to my health, I've been doing even less things than I usually do in what has been a very quiet life for me. Which is interesting to say because in the last 6 years or so, kind of since I started playing tennis 6.5 years ago, not really related, I've completely changed in a lot of ways as a person. And a lot has still happened in the last 6 years, in my life in general. But talking about tennis, when I look back at the things that I've been able to do as a result of this channel, it kind of blows my mind. The main thing I think of course, is the fact I was able to take a trip to Wisconsin and meet with Ian Westerman and Mark Sanset and some of the other guys, and just brush shoulders with them and have that experience and get to know them. That was unbelievable, and I want to again extend such massive thanks to Ian for getting my trip set up. I would love to be able to see you guys again sometime if you will have me. Also, massive thanks to Mark Sanset for being so kind to me, and when he came up to sectionals, which was right in my backyard, he was very gracious and allowed me to hit with him, which I'm attempting to not blame myself with main character syndrome as the main reason why he lost his matches at sectionals, but that's just something I'm continuing to work on. I don't mean to joke about mental health, it just makes me feel better sometimes. And genuinely, when it comes to me not being a great hitting partner for Mark, I don't tear myself up that much. Though I do wonder. All that to say, I've been treated so incredibly well by so much of tennis YouTube and a lot of its biggest personalities, and I'm just so grateful, and every time I look back, again, I just can't believe what has been able to happen for me. And speaking of Mark Sanset, that is kind of a segue into one of the topics that relates to why I haven't been doing as much with tennis YouTube in the last several years. Because if you think of Mark, he's kind of one of, again, the leading personalities of the online tennis sphere. He is the toxic tennis troll. He's notorious. He's carved out that niche for himself, and he goes after it. According to Ian, he's one of the people now like really working to keep the Real Tennis YouTube channel going, and his own channel, he's still leaning into that toxic tennis persona. That all just kind of leads into the fascinating tennis social media world to me. Mark is one of the more popular tennis YouTubers, and a lot of his videos get a lot of traction, and he gives a lot to the community. And his comment sections are some of the most interesting to observe. I'm using Mark as an example here as kind of a microcosm of the tennis YouTube community at large, and I feel like it's an interesting microcosm because of the niche he's carved out, but it reveals some intriguing things to me. Because it feels like so many of his own regular followers almost want him to fail. And I think I'm likely to misread a lot of the tough love of tennis YouTube commenters because I just come from different communities where we are smaller communities, so much more tight-knit, in younger activities where we are pushing the envelope all together, and so we're rooting for each other so hard all the time. I've just sort of been molded by that culture, and the tennis culture is different. I'm not here to complain or point any fingers, and I think I've been incredibly lucky with my platform through Seria Tennis. I think I've seen a lot of warmth from a lot of people, and again, I'm just so grateful for that. I haven't seen entirely that, and not all of the more negative stuff has been, I think, from a bad faith perspective. I think people, in their way, are trying to help. But I so often look at Mark's YouTube comment sections and I genuinely wonder about that. It just doesn't seem like people are trying to be helpful. And that's just part of the internet. It's always been like that. Ever since I started putting content on the internet when I was 10 years old, there have always been trolls, and there will always be trolls. Shoutouts to Tennis Troll. I just have a really soft boy personality. I'm all about act with love and sincerity. I'm all about bringing warmth. I want to bring the most out of people, and I want to do it with warmth. Because the world is so often incredibly cold. I'm definitely aware of the narrative out there that that's kind of what's wrong with the world these days, that the world is moving in the wrong direction because people used to be more hardened, because you had to be in order to get things done. The world needs to be a bit harder in order to work better. And honestly, I think even for me, there's truth to that. I think in order for me to be a better version of myself, I need to harden myself to a lot of different things. To function better, to get things done, to help myself and other people. I do think that there's truth to that. I think there's a balance, and I'm definitely looking to find that balance. And I think this is a good opportunity with the tennis community. Because the tennis community is such a giant and sprawling community with so many different types of people from every ideology, so many different regions, every different background under the sun, it feels all the more relevant for me to be able to figure these things out for myself so I can be myself and let everybody else be themselves and be more okay with that. In full honesty, I just today saw the video from Playing Tennis at 50 talking about the USTA and people's ratings and the state of tennis, especially in America, and the direction things are headed, and his own thoughts about things. And first off, I think it's really cool that a disabled person is getting back into the game. Second off, again, main character syndrome. It was very easy for me to watch the video, not all the way through yet, I admit, but be able to make some assumptions and connections about where I stand with those ideologies and the sort of general tone of that video. And I get the feeling that the energy that I bring to the sport and to life in general, of that soft boy personality, the act with love and sincerity, bring warmth at all times, is probably not his cup of tea, and the cup of tea of a lot of people who feel that way about activities and about the world. I could be wrong. I could be reading way too much into things because I'm good at that, but I believe it was still worth thinking about. I think about these things all the time, and I'm okay with it. It's okay. Even if we have complete opposite worldviews, if we're like total opposite people, that's kind of what's exciting about the world, isn't it? I've spent so long, so many years, completely agonizing about the world's dissonance, the world's division, the fact that people are so different that it's hard for them to get along. But, you know, I could just be in pain about it all the time, or I could try to take a note from so many stories out there about that being kind of what's beautiful about all of this, about all of us. At least accept it a bit more, be able to make peace with that, and coexist with the difficulty of coexistence. And I know I'm not breaking any new philosophical ground. I'm just trying to be better at hardening myself to the fact that even when I am my most genuine self, it's only going to make people like me less. Because not only am I not for everyone, sometimes I'm aggressively not for some people. This is just life. This is people. This is just the way it is. And I'm not out here to change people. God knows I've got a lot of work to do in here before I start working on anybody else. It's just something that I've had to take some years to kind of develop a skin for. And one of the things that I've been needing to work on is just accepting the tennis community. And I think I'm starting to. Is this video a self-therapy tool to try to convince myself of these things and make myself feel better? The answer might not surprise you. I've just had to learn how to get used to this community after communities like the tricking community, the acrobatic sport that I do, which taught me how to do those flips that I do in the intro of all my videos, which again was that very tight-knit young community trying to push a very new thing past its limits again and again and again, all of us just rooting for each other, all of us just trying to uplift each other. And I don't mean to say the tennis community is terrible, it's just I think it's a different type of culture because most tennis players are far from elite. Even 5-0s are far from the most elite tennis players. And I think most people who have ever started playing tennis, they start with the standard of the pros as the thing that kind of brought them into what tennis is and the idea of tennis in their heads. And when that's the thing that you start from, and then you have your experience with tennis, like learning it on your own and playing it, and then you go online and see everybody else, I think that you just naturally have a different relationship with that activity than what I've had with tricking. And so when I started Seria Tennis and I started to get to know the tennis community, it was a learning curve. And again, I still see similarities between those two cultures because, again, using my channel as an example, a lot of people come in to compliment my progress and to uplift me and to try to help me grow. But that doesn't change the fact that I think one of the main narratives of people talking about tennis on social media is arguing people's stated skill levels. And sometimes it just feels like that's what they're here to do, instead of actually enjoy tennis and celebrate tennis. So many people just seem like they're here to argue. And I'm starting to make peace with that. I'm not here to change that. I'm just here. I'm just doing my thing. And it's really cool to be able to do that. I'd be remiss to talk at length about this subject in this way without mentioning why I have put the levels that I have put in my video titles and descriptions and everything. And the answer might not be one that a lot of you like, because the answer is, I still don't know what level I am. I've never been in USTA. I've never done a UTR league. I've never done anything that has gotten me rated. I've never known my rating. And so I've just completely gone by ear. When I've hit with people who have been in USTA and they've told me their rating, I've considered that into putting things in the titles of videos. I just kind of subconsciously started putting number skill levels in video titles and stuff because I kind of gleaned through osmosis that people searched up tennis videos by level and by rating, and that was how a lot of videos got found. And so even though I talk about how I wasn't expecting to get any traction with this channel, part of me was trying to gear things toward getting more people seeing my stuff because it's fun to do that. And if you believe that it's irresponsible for me to be putting ratings in videos without knowing for sure, I understand that. I think you have a point. And I'm considering a different way of branding my videos going forward, where maybe I don't rely on using a rating so much in presenting the video. It's something I'm going to think about. That's all I can say right now. And it's amazing the people I've been able to meet since I started this channel on a lark 6 years ago or so. I was just starting a new activity. I was playing tennis. I was new to it. And when I start things and I'm new to them, I just have that honeymoon period where I'm so motivated, I'm so excited, and I want to improve as much as possible, as fast as possible. And I love documenting that. I was mostly doing it for myself. I was mostly just putting videos up that I could go back to and I could look at and say, here's how much better I've gotten. Here's where I was. Here's where I am now. And I could just sort of celebrate that by myself. But for some reason, people just look up tennis videos from amateurs on YouTube and they get views. And it turned into a bit more than I was expecting. And then once I started watching Essential Tennis and what became Real Tennis, it quickly became a lot more than I was expecting. And Serious Tennis ending up being far more than I bargained for in many ways, but emotionally as well. There were several things happening in my life that were exactly like that, and I let myself get really overwhelmed with a lot of things in my life. So I've just had to take some time, be in a cocoon with a lot of things, and Serious Tennis has been one of those things. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to a regular posting schedule with this channel, ever. I am always happy to be able to release any video at all. I do have quite a few video ideas that are just sitting there waiting for me to work on from footage from this year that I intend to get to. It's just, you know how I am. You know that I don't have a track record of doing things consistently. There goes my light. And yes, you know that about me in more ways than one. You've seen my actual tennis. You know I'm not consistent. I need to be kinder to myself. But that brings me to talking about my tennis itself. Yeah, because again, this has been a light year for tennis for me. I haven't been playing as much, but last year and this year I was kind of running with the belief that I might be close to a 4.0 USTA NTRP tennis level if I'm not genuinely there already. But something I have done recently was join a lower level men's tennis league because I've been a hermit and I was offered to join the league from a director of tennis at the club I work at. I didn't feel like saying no. I was just like, yeah, I should probably get out more and it might be good for my confidence to win some matches. I lost the first 2 matches. The first player said he was a 2-5. They put the ball in play. I didn't. That was a wake-up call. I get the feeling that a lot of people out there would say, you joined a league against, on paper, far lower level players. You deserved to lose. You were sandbagging. You were participating in part of what's wrong with this sport. And I kind of understand that standpoint. I mean, part of what I said was like, I need some confidence, but let's win some matches. Yeah, I mean, I guess I was engaging in behavior like that. But I did lose, so they possibly revealed a lot about my actual level, and maybe I wasn't actually sandbagging. That's neither here nor there. I thought in my mind that I was going to be the best player there, and I joined anyway. It is what it is. Oh man, we're getting into this is gonna be like a feature-length film. Are you doing okay? After I lost those 2 matches against the 3.0, possibly 2.5 players, my coach and I started working really hard on consistency above all else. We needed to peel everything back and see how far back we need to go for me to put things in play no matter what. It turns out with my serve, as always, that doesn't really exist. I don't really have a serve that goes in no matter what. I do have a serve, however, that can go in more often. And so I'm starting matches with a much lighter serve that goes in more often so I can actually get my teeth into matches by starting points. And then in my lessons, once I get the point going, we had to look at my ground strokes and peel those back and see what type of pace, what type of ball I can go to where I can make 10, 15, sometimes 20 or more shots. Do I have the ability to put the ball in play? That is still, 6.5 years in, one of the main problems of my tennis. Putting the ball in play. Put me against 4-0, maybe even 4-5 players who generate their own pace. I feel like I barely have to do anything to get the ball in. Put me against players who just get the ball in at the bare minimum and the ball does almost nothing when it gets to me. That absolutely solves me. And now we're trying to solve that for me, so that's not an issue anymore, so that I can be a consistent player, so that I can win matches against more players. Yes, even against players who are on paper way below my level, because if I don't put the ball in play, it doesn't matter what your level is, I'm not going to beat you. I just played Z today, and he played very well. He was on his game today, and I know that the majority of people who see his form and technique and the way he plays would say he's a 2-0 at best, but he's so consistent and he's so good at winning big points. He's a mental giant. He's fast. He puts the ball in play. He puts his serves in. He puts returns in. He puts the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh ball in, and he can direct it, and he can take advantage of an aggressive opportunity. And I played well against him today. I lost 6-2, 6-2, but the games were almost all really close. So many deuce games. I just didn't win the bigger points. It was a really close 6-2, 6-2. It was great for my confidence, and I'm motivated enough that I'm sitting here talking about it and making this video. So you might notice on future videos, my pace might be a bit lower in some cases. I might be going for more safety over the net. Even when I'm being brought in and I'm going for approach shots, those might have a bit less on them, but more height, more spin, more safety, more direction instead of pure aggression. This might dismay you. You might think that we're ruining my tennis. But what is tennis? How do you win tennis matches? I can tell you how you lose tennis matches. I have always been one of the worst players I've ever met with unforced errors. I have always known how to lose. I have always known how to beat myself. It's time to learn how to win. The way to give myself a chance to win is by putting the ball in play. And it's more fun to put the ball in play instead of missing every other shot. Still gotta figure out how to not double fault 4 times every single game. We're working on it. We've been working on it for years. Do I have hope? Find out in videos in the future, I guess. Subscribe? Oh god. Anyway, what else about my game? My forehand, sometimes it still feels like a dice roll, depending on what type of shot is coming in, especially if it's low pace, but we're working on the consistency. Sometimes it feels like my face angle at contact is a dice roll. We're working on it. That's one of the main things that Ian was talking to me about. Just focus on the angle of the face at contact and the path of the swing, because those are 2 of the biggest things that determine what the shot does. And I still don't feel like I have enough control over either of those things. I still feel like it's a dice roll what I actually end up with, but that's what practice is for. That's what more experience can help with. And again, looking back 5 years, my forehand is absolutely transformed. It's actually a shot that I can hit. I can put it in play. I have a reasonable amount of confidence that if I want to hit a cross-court forehand rally ball, I can do that. If somebody hits it low to my feet, I can get low and I can handle it. I can hit an approach shot with it sometimes. My backhand, it's funny. I still am not nearly as confident with it as I was about 4 or 5 years ago, when I just felt like I couldn't do anything wrong on the backhand. If you gave me a backhand, I was so excited because I was about to hit a great shot. And my confidence in that stroke has completely 180'd. I still don't really have a backhand slice, which is funny because in some lessons I have hit perfect backhand slices like 30 in a row, but that's with like a very specific feed. I really have to develop a backhand slice that is good in different situations and that stays with me after I have one good session with it, to be able to take ahead into the next day, into the day after, into 3 weeks from then. I've never felt comfortable with that shot. And with the topspin backhand, I gotta regain the mojo that I used to have with it, because it was really fun to have that much confidence in my backhand. And that's a large part of it. And that leads into the next part of my game. The mental game. Still one of the absolute weakest parts of basically any performance-based activity that I do, and it's true for tennis still. I guess I have a lot of room to improve, to put it positively, which I should start doing with more things in life. And I guess we'll just leave it there, because I could ramble about this for hours. I'm sorry. I'm a head case, and that makes me lose a lot of points. It makes me bad in pressure situations. It makes me bad when I have a lead. There's a lot to work on, and hopefully I'm able to do so meaningfully and start to see some consistent results. My volleys and my general net play. The short answer is very slowly getting better. It's kind of in the same boat as the rest of my game, where I think my fundamentals were extremely stilted and kind of poorly formed, and so I have to unlearn so many bad habits, and that really comes through when I'm at the net. It is improving, though. I'm still nowhere near what I should be with putaways. I still float those things back into the middle of the court way too often. I still miss them long, wide, short too often. But that's a really negative perspective. I could look at how things have grown. It's just hard to when I see channels like Winners Only, and that dude's been playing for like less than 2 years, and I don't know if I would be able to hang with him, but I mean, if we ever played sometime, I would be really excited, and I'd be really engaged and into it, and I'd be trying really hard, and I might play okay. I'd probably put a lot of pressure on myself, but that's the way I am with everything. I'm going off on a tangent here. Yeah, volleys, net game. I want it to be way better. I want to be an all-court player. I want to have the touch and the feel and the ability to come forward and transition and put things away and take advantage of points and be more aggressive. I love that style of tennis, and I would love to be able to have that be my game. I just miss too much, man. So much work to do. So much work to do. And serve, we've mostly covered. It's the double faults are the main story, and I need to work on really directing the serve more. I need to think about, I want to serve to his backhand, and then be able to do that. And that might help with the consistency. If I have an intent for the shot, it might increase my chance to actually put it in play. And with serving, I genuinely just go into it saying, I hope this goes in somewhere. My footwork has been the biggest improvement of this year by far. It's been something my coach worked on for a few lessons, ingrained in my head, taking more steps, taking the little steps, getting my feet moving, getting in better position for every shot. Man, it's a huge difference. Goodness gracious, it feels better. Although when it comes to my movement in general and my speed and everything, I am no longer a spring chicken. I'm still relatively young, but I have a lot of wear and tear on my body from being an acrobat and a lot of other activities I've done through my life, mostly the acrobatics, and it's really catching up to me. I have constant lower back issues. I've got several chronic injuries around my hips and groin area, and combine that with some of my other health issues from this year, and I am more sluggish on the court than I used to be. But still, just with my improved footwork alone, I would take my movement now over my movement from 5 years ago when I was, 25, and I felt like I could do anything. I still get surprised by incoming shots very often, and I still feel out of position very often. But again, that's maybe something that can improve with experience, and I just gotta plug away, just keep with it. Just practice, play tennis, just do it. And do it with intent, and do it not hating myself all the time. Especially now that I've done the recent work with consistency, I'm feeling decent with where my tennis is at right now. Those losses to those lower level players are still hot in my mind, and I think that that's a good thing. I need to keep those in there. I need to keep that wake-up call, and that's one of the things that might really force me onto the path of consistency, force me to put balls in play, and that's gonna force me to get better. That might have been the kick in the rear that I needed. After 6.5 years, those losses were the thing that told me straight up, if you don't clean yourself up and change something, this will keep happening forever. Do something now. So I am. It's going okay. You can hopefully look forward to seeing some footage from this summer and also the footage from today. I'm definitely going to make a video of that, although I spoiled the score and kind of the tone of the match. But hopefully you'll enjoy the points. And again, if you're one of those people, that small amount but still surprising amount of people who genuinely cares about this channel, and a part of even the smaller amount of people who has watched this freaking video all the way through, thank you again, as always. This is wild. I don't know why you're here. I don't know why you care. But it means something. It's cool. It makes me feel good sometimes. So thank you. This is a weird, weird world with a lot of people in it. And it's nice to feel good sometimes. Shoutouts to the Real Tennis YouTube channel again. I binged a lot of their videos recently, and that was a joy. My goodness, they put a lot into that channel. And they deserve a lot more views and support and backing than they get. So, just another shout out to them. And, you know, a lot of the people on the front lines of tennis YouTube putting things out for people to enjoy. Winston Do, Mark, Dill Plays. Oh, frick, what's her name? Don't tell me I'm forgetting her name right now. Don't forget her name. No, dude, I don't want to look it up. I don't want to succumb to this. Olive TV. Olive. And so many more people out there just putting themselves out there in the wild, wild west of tennis YouTube. I see you and I appreciate you, and you also help inspire me to keep coming back as little as I do and add my own stuff to the mix. It's an honor to do so, genuinely. As much as it might seem like I'm complaining about the community and saying that I just don't really have it in me to really keep up with all of this, it's really nice to have this. I love having this. Thank you for being a part of it. I guess that's about it. What is this video, like a half-hour long now? Good tennis content, right? Anyway, go do something else with your life. Do something nice for yourself, I guess, if you're a decent person. If not, you can, but I wouldn't be so adamant about it because you're not a decent person. Does anybody... How do people... You see what happens when you give me a microphone and you just let me talk? I'm gonna stop now. Thank you so much, everybody. Till next time, folks. Thank you again. Dream on. Peace. Be good to each other.